Hello everyone, this is a Spiritual Seeker. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. Today we're going to be doing another past life reading. This reading is going to be quite detailed. We've got 4 different decks to choose from today. I just want to say I'm so sorry I haven't been uploading in the past couple of weeks, but you know, I do have a full-time job as well as doing this on YouTube, and I've just been so busy with that. I've had lots of weddings and birthdays, and so yeah, I've just been really tired. I don't know if there's another shift that's happened, but my body's just took a beating. I'm just tired all the time, irritated. So I thought, while I had this time today when I was feeling much better and I've got the time, we'll do this reading. So it's going to be another detailed past life reading. As always, all the timestamps and everything else will be just in the description box, and I'll also link them in the comment section. And also, everything for my paid private readings will also be in the description box as well. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose from pile 1, 2, 3 or 4. I've got an extra pile on today. I felt like doing 4. I'm going to start doing some other piles when I get to do some more of my other readings as well. I know a lot of you have been suggesting that I only have 3 options, so I'm thinking about going ahead and doing more, possibly 6 for every reading, but you know, today we're just going to stick with the 4. So I'll let you choose between those 4 decks. Right, so going to go ahead with the reading. So if you picked deck 1, which is the top left, what was your past life? What did you learn? Everything like that. So we have knowledge. We have the 7 of air. We have the addict. We have the medicine woman. We have bodies of water. We have undying love. We have meditation. We have loyalty. We have the 7 of wands. We have the daughter of swords. The mother of swords. And your past life was spirituality and religion and galactic. So I'm just going to put those up there. So let's move back a little bit. So, in your past life, you was definitely a wise, knowledgeable, religious person. It's likely that you were a galactic, so you were from another galaxy. You were sent here from, Andromeda. What are the other ones? I can't think of them off the top of my head. But, you know, all of those otherworldly, I would say planets, but I feel like they're more galaxies. So yeah, you were definitely from another galaxy. You definitely came in religious. You were definitely teaching people about spirituality and religion. You definitely had a lot of knowledge. You had a key to a lot of the answers that people were asking. You were likely, you might have been a traditional person. But yeah, even with the 7 of air, or the 7 of swords, as we always say, 7 is the number of the mystic. 7 is a spiritual number, so you definitely had a lot of spiritual knowledge. You can see here how the being on the card has a book of knowledge, and then in this one also we also have a book, and then in the knowledge card we also have a book. So you know, you probably read a lot. You probably loved reading books. You probably loved finding knowledge through books. You probably meditated on your ideas, and you really shared your ideas as well. You expressed your ideas. You know, this is the swords, the 7 of swords, expressing and communicating spirituality. Someone who has their third eye open, someone who's religious, someone who practices what they preach. Okay, this is an educator, not an indoctrinator. You know, this is the motto of the 7 of swords in this particular deck. You know, and even the meditation card itself is 25, which is 2 + 5 = 7. So a very spiritual person. You possibly could have been a life path 7, or have a connection to the number 777, or just have, you know, that number in your life. You see that a lot. Or you might even be a life path 7 now in this life. You just might have a connection to that number, just because it is the number of the the mystics, of the psychics. You were probably someone who had a heightened intuition as well. You had all this knowledge, and it was inner wisdom. And, you know, because this is the swords, you likely expressed this through communication. So you communicated your knowledge. You communicated what you read. So you read books, and then you probably meditated on this and the ideas behind the books and behind the messages and behind that knowledge. And then you went on to teach other people. And this was likely spirituality and religion, like I said. Orion was the other one I was going to say. There's Andromeda, Orion, and I forgot the other ones, but that was the other one that was picking up, so it could be one of those two. You were a very loyal person as well, so you were someone who always stuck by what they said. You were someone who always stuck by their words, someone who, you know, didn't get involved in disloyalty or betraying others. You was very honest. You was very truthful. You know, again, we've got another seven of wands, which is emphasizing the number 7. You might have felt like sometimes you had to stand alone and you were fighting other people because you might have had otherworldly ideas, otherworldly beliefs, and you might have felt like you were fighting tooth and nail with other people. But, you know, you weren't trying to indoctrinate people. I feel like you was trying to educate people, or, you know, just give people your ideas through the communication of the swords, you know, because we also have the mother of swords, which is the queen of swords. So you might have been very upfront and honest. People might have come to you for advice. Okay, people might have come for you for, you know, religious teachings. You might have even been like a priest, or you know, someone who people relied on, and you was trusted, you know, to give them honest, brutal advice. And sometimes you felt like you were fighting other people, and then you was there by yourself in your own, you know, number 7, in your own spirituality, fighting off other people, because people might not have always took kindly to this. People might have thought you was a bit blunt, a bit upfront, a bit too honest. People might have thought you was a bit mean with your words, but you was just truthful, and you wanted to deliver that truth out of your own spirituality. Also, number 7 is linked with spiritual contracts and contracts with other people, so it could have been spiritual contracts. So you was very devoted to fulfilling your own spiritual contract, or you had a lot of spiritual contracts with other people, helping them, which would make sense if you were a priest or someone who was highly valued in society, because if people looked towards you, and a lot of people did that, then, you know, you might have had a lot of spiritual contracts to fulfill. And I'm also seeing the 7 of wands here as someone who is at the front in the limelight with their own flame, and other people are around them watching. So you could have been someone who was highly valued in society. A spiritual figure is also what I'm getting with these 2 cards. You know, someone who put their spirituality into action as well, because the wands are a fire sign. They're all about action. They're all about creativity, work. Even though the swords are about communicating, even though you communicated your spirituality and expressed that, you also acted on it as well. You did acts of kindness. You did acts towards your spiritual contract. You did acts towards your spirituality. You were possibly that flame lit in the dark for other people as well. So you might have had followers, is what I'm getting as well, religious followers. You might have even created your own religion. You might have been a very strong religious figure. Also with the daughter of swords, again, it's someone who's honest, it's someone who's integral. With the owl, I'm seeing on this card someone who's very wise. So again, coming back to that knowledge, someone who's very wise and knowledgeable, someone who refers back to a book of teachings is also what I'm being told with the books that we're seeing on this card. Referring back to a book of teachings, or having your own book of teachings that you practice and preach. So, you know, you're not just telling other people for the sake of it. You're doing it out of honesty. You're doing it out of kindness. You are doing it, you know, you're practicing what you preach, is what I'm getting. You are loyal. You are a loyal and trustworthy friend. That's what you were. You know, 3 + 3 = 6. 6 can be a number of about family, and you know, helping families unite together, uniting people together. And, you know, you really did used to sit and meditate on this. You was a healer as well, is what I'm getting with the light around the hands. So you were a healer, and yeah, that makes sense, because, you know, we have the medicine woman card here. So you were a channel for divine healing power. So you were definitely someone that people looked up to. You were otherworldly, is what I'm getting as well. You used your spirituality and faith to instill that in other people. I mean, it might not have been physical medicine, because I'm getting the more religious and spiritual side of it. It might have just been healing through belief, healing through faith, instilling hope in other people, really giving people their spark back, handing the flame to other people so that they can have their own limelight and fulfill their own spiritual missions is what I'm getting. You helped other people see the way. You held that light for other people. I'm also getting the Hermit card, which can represent Virgo. You don't have to be a Virgo. But I'm also getting shown the Hermit card to someone who holds that lamp and that torch for other people, someone who holds that flame and is willing to be the leader is really what I'm seeing. But yeah, we've got a lot of air signs in here. We have got a fire card. So yeah, air and fire, but predominantly air. We've also got undying love. So you were definitely someone who had eternal love, had unconditional love for other people. You had unconditional love for nature. Okay, you was a happy person. The card says the love you have shared is eternal regardless of the situation. So people probably came to you with their burdens and, you just loved them regardless. You wanted to help them. You wanted to share your knowledge with them. Okay, but you didn't want to bullshit them. You didn't want to be disloyal in that way. So instead you gave them the truth, and not everybody liked it, no. But you were honest and you were generous and, you didn't stand for any shit, basically, is what I'm getting as well. And, you held true to your own flame and your own power. And if people wanted to follow you, all these other ones, then that was great. But if not, then that was fine too. But, you were ultimately living your own spiritual mission. You had spiritual contracts with others to fulfill, and you weren't messing about. You were like, look, I've come in from this other world as a spiritual or religious figure, and I'm not messing about here with the Queen of Swords. I'm still going to stand in my own true flame and my own power with my own passion. I'm going to remain loyal and I'm going to remain honest. I'm still going to heal other people, but, I'm not messing around because I've come here to do spiritual work. You didn't mess around. And yeah, you just had unconditional love for everyone. Oh, just bear with me 1 sec. I just need to move my camera. Yeah, you didn't mess around. You just loved helping and healing other people. You just loved them unconditionally anyway. We also have the bodies of water, so you probably spent a lot of time near water as well. You might find water healing, or you might be a water sign now in this life. Doesn't have to be, but take it if it resonates, Spend time near water, such as a lake, river, or the ocean to recharge your batteries. So because you gave so much of yourself to other people, you might have found that you had to be around water or live around water because you were taking on the emotions and the burdens of other people, and you had to have an outlet for that. You had to have somewhere to release it. So you might have really enjoyed being by lakes or, going on cruises or, they probably didn't have cruises back then, but you know what I mean. You probably just really enjoyed being calm, and that's where you recharge your batteries. That's where you got your life force from. You would retreat to water if you ever went away. But we also had the addict here, so the archetype that you was playing in this life. So it helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. But sometimes the shadow attributes of this is compromises integrity and honesty. It allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your own inner spirit. So you might have just been addicted to helping other people to the point where you couldn't have time to recharge your own batteries near the water because you were just so addicted to helping people that you neglected yourself. So, or you could have had other addictions because, empaths or, people who take on a lot of other people's emotions, sometimes they don't know how to sort them out. And if you wasn't able to spend time near water, or you wasn't able to do activities to recharge your batteries, then you very well might have actually had addictions. You might have had drug or alcohol addictions, or addictions relating to health, or that could damage your health, or that was harming yourself in some way and compromising your own integrity and honesty. So then you might have no longer been practicing what you preached because, at some point you might have lost your way because you didn't know how to filter through the emotions of everyone else, and you couldn't sift through what was yours and what was other people's. So, you had to start cutting people out of your life. You might have had to. You might have had to take your sword and cut some negative people out of your life because you were like, I can't do this anymore. There's no equality between give or take. So I've got to start cutting you out of my life, and I've got to stand alone and do this because I'm no longer being honest or integral. And I'm addicted to something. So, you know, you might find in this life that you have problems with addiction when it comes to emotions, because you might not be able to sift through your own emotions. So you might find outlets for that as distraction. So you might have got addictions in this life that have actually stemmed from a past life of addiction, because you can't handle your own emotions. You know, we've got more water here, like pushing back the emotions, pushing back the cups. It could be other people as well. You might take on other people's emotions and you're not sure if it's yours. So if you do have that problem in this life, make sure that you take some time to meditate in this life if you didn't do it enough in your past life, to sort through those emotions, to sort through those addictions. You know, ask yourself, is this a true reflection of me? You know, am I recognising the addictive behaviour and patterns here? Am I compromising my integrity or honesty? Is this true to who I am? Or am I giving something more authority over me that doesn't need to be there, that is causing me harm? Do I value myself enough to stop this addictive behaviour because I know it is causing me harm? You know, ask yourself these questions. You know, is it a distraction or a cover-up for something else in your subconscious? Really ask yourself that, you know, if you do have that issue in this life. But, you know, you were a healer is what I'm getting. So yeah, you was an otherworldly being, and you might have had your own issues. I'm even getting that you might have become a corrupted priest or a corrupted leader because of an addiction. But I think overall you had a lot of knowledge to share with other people. You had a lot of healing. You had otherworldly ideas and thoughts as a galactic. You know, you came from a different time. You came from a different galaxy altogether. So, you know, the addiction might have come from that, from missing home, is what I'm getting for some of you. Also, because, you know, other galaxies vibrate at different frequencies, you might have felt it was very hard to adjust to that, and that people were very taken, and you know, you was giving your all into this, and people might have hurt you, which caused you to be upfront and blunt. So, you know, you had to spend a lot of time near water. You know, people might have taken you for granted is what I'm getting. But, you know, overall, you know, it was quite a good life. You had a lot of people look up to you. You had a lot of people respect you. You was your own person. You was your own flame. You had unconditional love for people. You took the time to meditate. You was very spiritual and religious. You enjoyed reading and writing. You enjoyed looking into spiritual teachings, particularly books of religion, or like different ideas and beliefs. You liked breaking the boundaries when it came to that, and you used that to heal other people and instill faith in other people, you know. But you didn't, you know, you was a very honest and loyal, reliable person. You was a very figure. I'm also feeling like you was a man in that life as well. You was a male figure. I mean, I'm just getting masculine energy, so it doesn't have to be necessarily, but I've just got very masculine energy for this particular spread. Yeah, so yeah, that was your life if you picked pile 1. So if you picked pile 2, what was your past life? So we have the 4 of air, I believe. We have self in reverse. We have seeker as the archetype. We also have pioneer. We also have scribe. We also have Midas, miser. We have the arts card. We have receptivity. We have divine passion. We have fairness. We have the high priestess. I remember getting a lot of cards for this one. We have true love. We have don't back down. We have deceit in reversed. We have risk. We have high priestess of earth. We have the fool. We have male, female, and scribe. All right, which is interesting because we just got the scribe from the archetype cards, and we've also got it in the past life version. So I'm just going to move you back a little bit. So in your past life is very, very strong and prominent that you were into the arts. You were into writing, drawing, painting, you know, it doesn't have to be stereotypical arts, but, you know, singing, dancing, something that was really expressive is what I'm getting. And you had a divine passion for that, because we've got the arts card, we have the scribe or writer, and then we also have the scribe from the archetype in Caroline Myce's archetype cards. So you were definitely some form of writer. You definitely had a passion for the arts. Okay, you definitely expressed yourself through creative activities in this life. You know, the scribe itself, preserving knowledge and information. So you really probably was a writer, probably was a poet, probably was a journalist, or you know, something that involved writing, possibly a reporter. You possibly loved reading as well if you were a writer, you know, reading other people's work, publishing your own work. You could always turn something really negative into something really positive, because we have the Midas/miser. So an entrepreneurial or creative ability to turn anything to gold, delight in sharing life's riches. So you might have even wrote advice for other people. You know, you could turn any negative situation into something positive, into gold. And this was really healing for other people, because I'm seeing a lot of greens on the card. So, you know, helping people heal their heart, which is why I'm also getting like poetry and things like that. You could turn a negative experience or a negative breakup into something really creative and passionate and loving, and, you know, a lesson. Like, it could help people understand the lessons behind something is what I'm getting, because you had all these creative ideas. Okay, you were a pioneer, you know, a passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. And I can also see that with the risk card. Okay, you weren't afraid to take risks. You were a pioneer. You loved to create new ideas. You were probably up in your head a lot thinking about these ideas, creating new forms of things that have never been done before. But, you know, you could also, the shadow attribute is a compulsive need to keep moving on. So once you'd moved on to one idea, you were like, right, I've got to do another one now. I've got to do another one. So you were a very hard worker is what I'm getting. You know, you weren't afraid to take risks, no matter how unstable that might seem to other people, because we've got 31 at the top. 3 + 1 = 4. 4 is a number of stability, so it might have seemed really unstable. You might have moved around or travelled a lot for your work. If you might have been a traveller as well. And a lot of your writings came from travelling and experiencing different cultures or different countries, different places, that sort of thing. Because, you know, we've also got the seeker as well, so always seeking knowledge. We also have, you know, the light attribute is the thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. But again, an inability to commit to a path once found. So you might have been an air sign in a past life, because I've also got air up here. But, you know, the general feeling and the general energy of this particular deck is feeling very floaty and up in your head a lot, especially with the pioneer. To me, these are very air-like cards. Always having new ideas, always being intelligent, you know, always having those light bulb moments that are great ideas, but, you know, never being able to fully commit to one path or commit to one idea, always needing to move on, always needing to seek more, to do more. You know, being a bit of a perfectionist is what I'm getting as well. You definitely might have been, and you might find that some of these traits follow through into this life as well. But, you know, I'm definitely seeing travel as well, because, you know, we also have the Fool. So, you know, it's all about the 0 of the major arcana. You know, starting fresh, new adventures, moving on, and jumping into things a little bit blind sometimes. But again, you weren't afraid to take those risks. You weren't afraid to move on. You weren't afraid to, you know, leave the nest and do these things, because you were a seeker. You needed to find that truth. You had a divine spark and a divine passion in you that needed to do this. You know, be honest with yourself. What is your heart's true desire? You really needed to do this. You really wanted to go out there and find everything that you could. You really wanted to seek and explore the world. You possibly travelled for work as well, as like I've already said. And you just had this uncanny ability to turn anything you wanted into gold. You could just do it. You could make anything look amazing. And, you know, this was really healing for people. Your writing was very healing for people. You know, you were down to earth as well. You weren't a dishonest person. You were very down to earth. You know, we've got Deceit in reversed and High Priestess of Earth upright. You were down to earth, you were honest. It's possible that you could have been an earth sign, or you might have earth in your sun, moon or rising in this life, because you might have been an air sign in the past life, and now you might have come in as an earth sign to experience both sides. Or if you was an earth sign in your past life, you might be an air sign in this life now. But yeah, you were very loyal. You wasn't dishonest or anything like that. You were just very down to earth, very kind. You had a divine passion with everything that you did. And a lot of people might have thought that you were a bit unstructured and like, what is he or she doing? Because they're not doing anything that's stable. But the Four of Air, it's all about, or the Four of Swords, you can see all the little structures around him. There was a method in your madness. People might have thought that you put things together really weird, or you was a bit strange or a bit delusional at times, but there was method behind your madness, and it worked for you because you was the Midas or miser. Everything you touched turned to gold, and people were like, how do they do it? How do they make something like that into something so creative and beautiful and powerful? And you just had this touch. You had this magic touch in everything that you did. And if you were, don't be surprised if you were a male in a past life, you could be a female in this life. Or if you're a female in this life, you could have been a male in a past life. Gender doesn't specifically matter, but it was probably the opposite sex to what you are now. Or you could have had some issues with identity or gender in that life, because we have got a sense of self in reverse. So you might have been great with other people, you might have been receptive to other people, you might have helped other people through writing or creating, but you might not have had a very good sense of self. You might not have had a lot of self-esteem. This could have been related to issues with gender, not feeling that the gender you embodied was correct for you. Or it might, because you might have spent a lot of lives incarnating as a female. And in this life, you might have chose to incarnate as a male. And, this might not have felt right for you. Or it could just be Spirit's way of saying that, we can be any gender. Don't think that just because you're a female in this life, you were a female in a past life. We do swap and change roles all the time through different lifetimes to experience different things. So you might have had a bit of an issue with self-esteem, or you wasn't quite sure who you were, and that's why you seeked a lot, and that's why you traveled a lot. You was actually seeking self the entire time. Even though you helped other people, you might have spent a lot of your life actually trying to find yourself through your own writing, through your own teachings, as well as I'm getting, through your own traveling. You was trying to find yourself and your own identity is what I'm getting. So you might have some issues with that now in this life, with your own self and identity or self-love. So if you're still struggling with that in this life now, then try and work on it. Make sure you try and really establish your sense of self. Love who you are, be who you are, accept yourself as well, because other people do love you. I'm seeing that you were really healing to other people as well. You were down to earth. People loved that. People loved your passion. People loved that. People loved the spark that you had in you. I've also got the High Priestess here as well. Okay, so you were a powerful person. You have divine knowledge that can help others through your spiritual teaching. Again, I just said teaching. The High Priestess is telling me that you were powerful. You had powerful feminine energy. So it could have been that you was a male, yet you embodied a lot of female High Priestess energy, and that's why you might have had an issue with sense of self. But you were powerful. People respected you. People thought that you were adventurous. People thought that you were free. People thought that you were just a truth seeker. People thought that you were a pioneer. You had all these brilliant ideas. You had all these brilliant writings. You were very down to earth. Your arts was healing. There was still method in your madness, though. People might have thought you was a bit delusional and crazy, but there was method behind it. And you were powerful. You loved these new adventures. You were very receptive as well. Receptive to music, receptive to other people. Allow yourself to receive. This will increase your intuition, energy, and ability to give to others. So you might not have always received well from other people, maybe because of your lack of sense of self. Oh, I'm so sorry about the lighting. But yeah, you might have gave a lot to others, but then really struggled when it came to yourself and letting people give things back to you. mainly because you might not have had a lot of self-esteem or your own sense of identity. I know I keep saying the same thing over and over, but you know, you might not have always been receptive to others in that way if they was to give something back to you, because maybe you had a problem with valuing yourself. But yeah, you were definitely someone who was fair and just as well. So the situation will be handled in a fair and just manner. So you always believed in doing the right thing. You always believed in fairness. You always believed in kindness. You were someone who was just down to earth and appreciated the arts. You know, we also have the true love card here as well. So you probably experienced true love in this life. So the romantic stirrings in your heart propel the universe to deliver great love to you. So you probably met your true love in this life, or you found your true love through your divine passion. And you found that sense of self. You found, you know, it doesn't have to be a person. True love doesn't have to be a personal. It can be true love to yourself, if that's what we're struggling with and that's what we're working on. It could be something that you're still working on in this life. Through your divine passion and your motivation, you found your true love to yourself. You found your true love to your soul's calling. You found your true love to your job and your career and your passion. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a twin flame, a soulmate. It could be. Who knows? But you know, it could just be that you found the thing that you love in life. You know, you loved what you did. You know, that's also a great thing. You loved what you did. You lived a life of love and happiness and doing what you wanted to do. Yes, you might have had some issues with the self, but ultimately you had a brilliant life. You were just and you were fair. You were open to other people. You had a lot of love to give, and even if you didn't always receive it based on your own self-esteem and self-confidence, you know, you were a very lovable and, you know, magnificent person. You didn't back down either. You always stood up for what you believed is right, which is what I'm getting with the just and fairness cards. Yeah, you always did what was right. You were always fair. So, like, you know, most of the cards are really brilliant cards. You were powerful. You were adventurous. You were free. Everything you touched turned to gold. There was method in your madness. You loved writing. You loved the arts. You had new ideas and you seeked them, and you was a pioneer and you took risks, and, you know, you weren't a deceitful person. You never went about anything in an unfair way. You never, you know, even if you had the upper hand in a situation, I hate saying that, but, you know, even if you had an upper hand in the situation over competition or other writers, you know, you never went about it in a deceitful way. You were always just and fair, even if you had competition with other journalists or, you know, other writers or, you know, that sort of thing in the work that you did. You know, you never shot down anyone on purpose or undermined anyone in that sort of way. You always, you know, you was fair in everything that you did. You know, if you made it to the top, you made it to the top for the right reasons, is what I'm getting. You never, you know, took someone off a pedestal to get there, you know, because you was the fool. You was young and free and adventurous, and you had a fresh, clean slate, and you just went about it. And you might not have known anything along the journey, but, you know, you had some sort of structured plan. So yeah, that was a great life if you picked pile 2. I hope you enjoyed that reading. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. So if you picked pile 3, what was your past life? So we have the 10 of fire in reversed. We have union in reversed. We have ace of wands or ace of fire in reversed. We have journey. We have love in reversed. We have the 7 of earth in reversed. We have faith in reversed. We have the 9 of earth. We have the 3 of earth in reversed. We have father as the archetype. We also have monk or nun. And we also have mother here. We have be strong. We have guardian in reverse. We have quiet time. We have focused intention. We have movement. We have the star and the wheel of fortune. We have wisdom. Oh, we have monk or nun again, which just confirms that for us, because we also have it down here. So we have that twice. And we have unrequited love. So I'm seeing two major themes in this life. So I'm seeing someone who's very religious and spiritual, and I'm also seeing someone with an unrequited love. You know, all the cards point to this. You know, because we have love in reversed, we have a union in reversed, and then we have unrequited love, okay? So there was some aspect of this past life where you wasn't allowed this love, you wasn't allowed union. It possibly could have been a twin flame, but, you know, take that as it resonates. It may or may not be. It could have just been someone that you had unconditional love for that you couldn't be with because of your position as a monk or a nun. Because I'm also seeing an issue with cycles in this life, because we have with the Wheel of Fortune, we have that upright, but then we have the 10 of Fire in reversed. You know, the 10 of Fire is all about cycles as well, because 10 is a number of cycles. It's about letting go of the old and bringing in the new, and the Wheel of Fortune is all about ending a cycle. You know, it's all about the wheels turning. It's all about luck changing. You know, this is also a number 10, the 2 10s here. So you might have had an issue with beginning and ending new cycles. You might find that in this life that you are in currently, you have a lot of issues with being able to let go of things, or let go of old cycles, close chapters and begin new chapters, because you might have this inner flame burning within you. You know, the 10 of Fire, when it's upright, is all about mastered control over yourself. But, you know, when it's reversed, you might not have been able to master this kind of self-control. You know, you might have put a lot of effort into something, but then expected the same from other people. So you might have had high expectations or expected people to change, and people didn't. Other people, you might have completed your cycle work, but other people might not have been able to do the same as you, because people might not have been as devoted as you are. You know, as a monk or a nun, you were someone who was very devoted, someone who had selfless devotion, a single-minded dedication to spirit, someone who had a lot of self-control and a lot of self-mastery. But you might have expected the same from other people, and other people couldn't do that because they didn't have that level of self-control. They might not have had that level of self-mastery that you did. So you might have managed to complete your cycles, but other people might not have. And, you know, you had this very motherly and fatherly energy around you. It's almost, you might have found yourself mothering other people. You know, nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy in giving birth to life. You know, talent for creating and supporting life, a positive guiding light within a tribal unit. So you might have been a leader in this community as a monk or a nun. You might have led this or helped people, or, you know, been quite, I don't know how a monk or nun works. I don't know if there's like spiritual leaders of the monks or nuns, or, you know, if they have one person who is at the forefront of it all. I'm not too sure. But, you know, you might have been the leader, the master of the community, of this monk or nuns. And, you know, you had a lot of wisdom to share with other people. You had a lot of insight. You had a lot of self-mastery. You were someone who was devoted. You were someone who was looked at as a mother or a father. You know, but the shadow attributes of this is dictatorial control, abuse of authority, and then we've also got smothering or abandoning children, instilling guilt in children for becoming independent. So, you know, you possibly could have had these shadows attributes as well. You might have had a high position and you might have abused that authority or expected too highly of other people. You know, as parents, you know, parents have high expectations of their children. Sometimes we want them to be a certain way. I mean, I don't have children myself, but, you know, I think it's the same with everyone's parents. Everyone's parents wants them to do really well. Everyone's parents wants them to be the best version of themselves that they can be. You know, they want their children to be the best version of themselves. And, you know, you might have been a mother or fatherly figure within this monk or nun community, and you might have had high expectations of the people that you were surrounded with, and they might not have always been able to live up to this level of self-mastery that you had with this Wheel of Fortune. So, you know, there might have been times where your shadow attributes came out. But, I'm really... the Seven of Earth. The Seven of Earth is always someone who is, well, when it's upright, is someone who's spiritual, someone who's aligned. Seven is a spiritual number, someone who's down to earth, someone who's grounded, someone who's making slow progress and taking the time on this. But when it's reversed, you almost might have been too focused or secluded, possibly, on spirituality. You might have just been too focused on spirituality and almost too devoted to your own spiritual mission. Taking your time on this is great, and being spiritual is great, but you might have missed out on the love opportunity. This is what might have happened. You might have missed out on this love opportunity in the past life. Possibly, well, because you were a monk or nun, you possibly fell in love with someone, and you knew that it was against your beliefs and against your devotion and your vows that you took, that you couldn't have this unrequited love because, you were a monk or a nun, and you couldn't have this union, and, you were so devoted and almost too devoted to this that you turned down the opportunity. And now that's not to say that's a good or a bad thing, but you might have wanted this passionate start, this Ace of Fire. It was passionate, it was intense, you had intense feelings for this person. You might have wanted to start fresh and start a new beginning and turn this wheel of fortune around and do something completely different and close this old chapter, because you might have thought, well, I've mastered the self now, or I'm struggling to master the self, so I need to work on something different that I can master, and maybe I might be able to master this love. But you didn't choose this. You chose to stay devoted because you had a lot of focused intention. You had unwavering thoughts and feelings and actions focused on your target, and you will always make your mark. So you knew what you wanted, and you really wanted to stay devoted. You wanted to stay in control of this. You wanted to stay spiritual. You wanted to stay on this journey. You had a choice. You could choose love, or you could choose your spirituality and devotion to being a monk or a nun. And from what I'm getting, you did carry on choosing your spirituality. You did choose the path of the monk or nun. You rejected love as much as you wanted this fresh, passionate start that was full of creativity and fire and passion and just fire energy. You just didn't choose that because we got it in the reverse position. You might not have, during that time, you might not have fully have mastered the self. And, you thought, right, I've not fully mastered it, so I need to put my focus and attention on it so I can master this first. And so I can live a life of great devotion and wisdom and religious teachings and practices, so then I can master it eventually. So you might not have mastered it straight away, and that's why you rejected love, and then you chose to master it in the end, because there was times where you lost your faith and then regained your faith. A lot of conflicting energy here. We have cycles in reverse and upright, and then we've got faith in reverse and upright. The star's all about hope. It's all about dreams, passion, wishes fulfilled, wishing upon a star, dreaming. There might have been times where you lost your faith and you thought, well, I am a monk or a nun and I've got this great love in front of me, but I can't be with them. So, where is the faith? How can I have faith in something when I'm feeling so conflicted? You might have felt conflicted about this. You really wanted to be devoted. You really wanted more knowledge on this, which is why you were so focused and intent on it with the focused intention. But there was something about cycles, and you were like, how can I have faith in this? Because I'm meant to be this certain way. I'm meant to go by these vows and this certain belief and gain this wisdom that I've not quite mastered yet. But yet I'm feeling all this love and this union. I really want this, and I want this fresh, passionate start. But how can I have faith in that? How can I have faith? You might have lost all faith, and then you regained faith again. Something put you on the right track again. I feel like you really wanted movement towards a twin flame. We've got 2 + 9 = 11. 11 is known as a master number, and it's also known as a twin flame number. It's associated with that. You really wanted to make movement towards this fresh start, in union, in love with someone, but you knew it was unrequited, and you probably spent a lot of your time wishing upon this star. You possibly just spent your time dreaming about it instead. You possibly thought, well, I'm just going to dream about it instead because I know it cannot be a reality for me. And yeah, there might have been times that you lost your faith, you know, but you took time in quiet. You were strong, is what I'm getting. You took some alone time to rest, meditate, and contemplate on this. You know, you were strong, you were wise, with the wisdom card coming through again. So you know, you chose to stay on the path that you were on. You know, you had a choice in this past life, and you chose devotion and self-mastery over love, which is not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's however you want to see it. But in this life now, you might find you have issues with lovers or attracting lovers or rejection, because you might have rejected someone in a past life. Now, that's not to say it's bad karma, but you know, you might deal with rejection in this life, or you have issues with self-mastery or self-devotion or self-control because in a past life you had lots of it, and in this life you might want to feel what it's like to have no self-control, and experience this again. You know, you possibly felt like you weren't even protected at times. You know, this is a card about being safe and guarded. It might not have been safe for you to love this person because of your beliefs and because of your religion or your teachings. And you might have tried to rush the decision because we've got the 3 of Earth. You know, the 3 of Earth went upright. It's all about planting the seeds, you know. It's all about, you know, he's planting his seeds. He knows that they're not going to go straight away, but, you know, when it's reversed, it's all about, you might have tried to rush into a decision. You know, it's a very slow moving card and things are moving slow, and you might have tried to rush that decision. But then eventually you took the quiet time to meditate and you was like, actually, no, I am strong enough to deal with this. I have more knowledge to learn here. I have a cycle to break here. I have to go through this before I can have the union or love, and before I can have that fresh, passionate start and movement. People are relying on me as that mother and father figure, so I cannot go on that twin flame journey right now, is really what I'm getting. Because we've also got the 9 of Earth. You know, this is telling me, you know, 9 is a number of solitude. You know, it's all about seclusion, it's all about charity, it's all about giving, you know, offering to other people, and it's also all about transformation with the butterfly here. You know, being aligned, being down to earth, a slow moving energy. We've got a lot of earth in this deck, so it's possible that you could be an earth sign. I mean, I've also got fire here as well, but you know, predominantly earth. But you know, it's all about these more important things. You give without expectation. So, you know that you had to be alone. You know you had to go on this journey, this slow moving journey of reaping what you sow. You know you had to transform this cycle of passion even into a new cycle. And you know that you had to go into solitude, and you know that you had to take that quiet time and be strong and grow those seeds and not rush things and devote your time to others, because you know it's likely that people relied on you for support, for unconditional love, for patience, for guiding other people. So you knew that you could not move on to this twin flame journey. So you actually sacrificed yourself to give to other people, is what I'm getting, and you ended up in solitude. So you might have an issue now with a twin flame, is what I'm getting. Or you might really struggle accepting your twin flame, or you might have issues with cycles in this life. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but as this is happening in a past life, it could be possible that, you know, you might have some of these issues in your life now. You might have an issue with people relying too heavily on you. You could have an issue with cycles and ending and beginning new cycles. And you could have an issue with love and rejection. You could reject other people, or they could reject you. And you might have an issue of accepting love because you devote a lot of your time to other people and not yourself. And so instead you spend a lot of your time dreaming or daydreaming about this wish and wanting this wish fulfilled. But you might not always get it, is really what I'm getting. So yeah, that's what you've got if you picked pile 3 for your past life. Thank you for watching pile 3. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this reading. So now we're going to go ahead with the last deck, pile 4. What was your past life? So we have 7 of water in reversed. We have the youth in reversed. We have Queen of Water. We have King of Water in reversed. A lot of water heavy here. So you might be a water sign or could have been in a past life. Doesn't necessarily have to be. For the archetypes, we have Angel. We have the Orphan Child. These are the archetypal cards by Caroline Myss. We have Rescuer. We have Companion. We have Storyteller. We have Shapeshifter. We have Sorceress. We have Prosperity. We have Transformation. We have Blossoming. We have Inner Wisdom. We have Strength. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Ace of Pentacles and the Tower. And then we also have Father. We have Communal Living. We have Orphan again, which just confirms that for us guys, because we just had the Orphan card with the child. So that's a definite confirmation from Spirit for us there. And then we also have Asia. So it's likely that you lived in Asia in some form of communal living, likely because you were an orphan as a child. You probably spent a lot of your time living with other people, sharing with other people. You know, you could have been abandoned by a father. You might find that in this life you have issues with a father figure. You know, just because there was a father in your past life does not mean that they're your father in this life now. Let's just clear that up, because, you know, a lot of people think, well, my mother in this life was my mother in a past life. That's not always the case, because as we travel through soul families, imagine it as like a big spider's web and people swap roles. So your father in a past life could be your brother in this life. But, you know, if you really want to take the time to think about it, you know, just close your eyes for a few seconds and the first person that comes to mind is that father figure from this past life in Asia. And likely you were an orphan who got put into communal living. And you know, I'm getting a strong feeling, you know, because we got the Ace of Cups reversed. So, you know, the Ace of Cups is, you know, the number one. It's all about the self. It's all about your own authority, standing in your own power. And the Cups is to do with emotions. So you might have had some issues with regards to how you feel about yourself and your own self-love. You know, was your cup half full or was your cup half empty? You might have had some issues with how you viewed yourself because you might have been abandoned. You might have abandonment issues or rejection issues in your current life. Now, that's not to say that's necessarily 100% true. You might be absolutely fine, but, you know, if you resonate with that, then take that message. But, you know, you is definitely a strong character, the, you know, strong Leo energy here. You know, it is predominantly water energy I'm getting, but, you know, we got the Leo coming through, okay, standing in your own power. You might not have always loved or liked yourself, but you definitely had an inner strength within you that helped you carry through your hardships. I feel like you took on a lot of other people's emotions as well, because we've got the Queen of Water and we've also got the King of Water. The Queen of Water is represented by Scorpio. We have the Scorpio down here, or any other water sign, seeing as they are water cards. But, you know, you were someone who was very motherly, someone who was very giving, someone who gave her cups even if she rejected her own cup. You know, someone who was very nurturing, someone who was in touch with other people's emotions, likely an empath as well, is that what I'm getting. But, you know, you might have took on other people's negative emotions. You know, the King of Water reversed. You might have been a bit jealous or possessive at times, maybe over your own feelings, very guarded about your own feelings because you're not too sure how you view or feel about yourself. Or you took on other people's emotions, which really confused you because you might have had conflicting feelings regarding yourself, because you might have been an empath and you took on other people's emotions, or other people might have been very jealous and possessive over you. But, you know, because I'm seeing that people relied on you even though you was an orphan. I'm seeing that people actually looked up to you because you were this angel. You know, you shine this light for other people. You helped those without expectation in return. You gave people unconditional love because, you know, you were a rescuer in this life, in the past life. You provided strength and support to others in crisis, acts out of love with no expectation of reward, okay? So this strength that you had, you lended your strength to other people instead of focusing on yourself, which is not necessarily a bad thing and it's not necessarily a good thing, but you lended your strength to others when they needed it. You gave them your inner lion. You know, you gave them that infinite feeling of that they are strong, they are an infinite being, they are a being of light. You know, you really helped other people, even in your own situation, is what I'm getting. Even though that you were an orphan, you really helped other people. You know, with the storyteller card, I'm also getting someone who, even as a young child, was telling stories to other orphans in the same communal living space as you, and getting other children to sleep. So ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. So, you know, you might have been someone who tucked up all the other children to bed and told them stories. And, you know, you was a companion. The loyalty, tenacity and unselfish. You really gave all of yourself to other people despite being an orphan yourself. You know, and you was able to shapeshift into all these different things, you know, all these different roles that you needed. You know, if you needed to be the storyteller one night, then you could be the storyteller. If you needed to relate to someone else as the orphan child, then you could do that in your communal living. If you needed to be a companion to someone, you could do that. If you needed to be an angelic helping hand to someone, you could do that. If you needed to be the rescuer and provide someone with strength, you could do that. You know, you could really shapeshift your role to whatever others needed, and that's what gave you, that's why you had so much strength, because, you know, that is a very hard thing to do, taking on other people's emotions, whether they are positive or negative. But again, with the 7 of water reversed, I'm also getting Pisces with this because of the fish on the card. The 7 is a spiritual number. So, you know, you might have, you know, it's all about a card of loving and accepting yourself, reveling in your own emotions. When it's reversed, you might have really struggled with that. You might have struggled loving yourself, as I'm saying, with the Ace of Cups. You might have struggled with your own emotions or your own spirituality. You might have struggled, if you were an empath, deciphering if something was actually, you know, this is not my emotion and this is for someone else, and this is a spiritual message for them. With the number 7, you might have thought that they were your own emotions and you might have confused them, but people relied on you because you wasn't this youth. You know, the youth upright is someone who is a lone wolf, someone who does their own thing, who goes on their own path, someone who might struggle doing so, but, you know, someone who is free. And you weren't free. You were probably looking after other people, you were responsible for other people. You know, even with communal living, I'm getting that you probably all had your own different talents and abilities, but you all had to go out and earn money through your own craft and then come back and share it. So there was a lot of sharing involved. You know, and you gained a lot of inner wisdom from this life as well, is what I'm getting. You know, you got taught a lot. You trusted your inner wisdom. You took appropriate action without delay. You know, the Ace of Pentacles, you might have really struggled with finances or struggled setting up your own business or your, you know, being an entrepreneur. You might have really struggled with your own craft, and the only thing that you might have been able to do was help other people because you wasn't sure what you was doing yourself. You didn't know how you felt about that. So, you know, there's some issues with the self here. Maybe how you view money was wrong. Maybe how, well, not necessarily wrong, but maybe you had a false illusion to do with money, or a false illusion to do with how you feel about yourself, or maybe your own self-esteem and self-worth got in the way of you getting money for this communal living. But I'm getting the strong feeling that you shared everything, and that you would, like, say if one of you was really good at you know, farming or agriculture, then one of you would go out and do that. Or, you know, if one of you was really good at knitting or sewing or something like that, and someone did that, and everyone went out and did different things and different crafts, their own ability and their own skill, and then they all came back together at the end of the day and shared that and shared their day. And I you know, it's actually a really nice environment. You had a lot of nice people around you. At times it could have been tough and it could have seemed like a burden because you were struggling with yourself and your own spiritual mission and how you felt about that, and a lot of people might have relied on you, and you couldn't be free, you couldn't be a child because you had to grow up really quickly. But, you know, you lended your inner strength, and, you know, there was, you know, the Tower moment hit. You know, you might have had all of your foundation shook from you, which could have been something to do with money, and that's maybe why you ended up as an orphan in the first place, and why perhaps you might have issues with father or authority even, because I do see father figures as authority figures. In a lot of the decks, they do come through that way. So you might have had an issue with authority, even with the King of Water, someone rejecting emotions. So, you know, the reason why you might have ended up being an orphan is because of money, you know, not being, you know, something not going right, and the foundation comes crumbling. But, you know, you did have the strength to get over that, and ultimately you transformed as a person, okay? You blossomed into this amazing person, this psychic, intuitive person. You had a lot of change, you had a lot of blessings. You just needed more patience with yourself. But, you know, you weren't someone who gave up. You were prosperous, whether that be material or emotional or psychological, or just in the sense of being a person who is true to themselves. You were prosperous. You had abundance. It might not have been material abundance, but you had abundance of people around you. Even though you were an orphan, I'm seeing that you had a lot of very nice people around you. Yeah, there might have been times where you struggled because of your own emotions. Now, that's not to say that your own emotions got in the way of your life path, or your own emotions got in the way. But, you know, I'm seeing that there was a lot of nice people around you that provided you wisdom, that provided you transformation. Without this experience, you couldn't have had prosperity, even emotional prosperity. I'm seeing that even though you had this life, you were still happy, you were still strong. You got over your hardships. You know, you could shift into anything that people needed. You know, you were an angel sent down. You helped other people through self-sacrifice. Even if it meant sacrificing your own emotions, people relied on you. You know, you were a sorceress. You could manifest anything that you wanted into reality. You could get anything you wanted one way or another, and that made you prosperous. And, you know, I'm seeing people who could pour their heart out to you, someone who saw you as a friend, someone who saw you as a companion, someone who saw you as an angel, someone who you could relate to. So you might have spoke to a lot of other orphans, or had other orphans living with you in that communal living, and, you know, you could really relate to them, and that was healing to them, because I'm seeing this wisdom as healing too, with the greens on the card and the water, someone who's wise as well, and someone who really helped other people. And yeah, there might have been times where people might have taken advantage of you, or taken advantage of your emotions, because the King of Water in reverse can be an emotional manipulator, so people might have tried to do that to you. But, you know, overall, you were strong enough to handle it. You were strong enough to deal with it. You might deal with people like that in your life now. Learn to say no to people, to those people. But yeah, overall, this wasn't a bad life. Like, I'm not saying that being an orphan isn't bad. But, you know, some people might view this as a really bad past life. Some people might view this as, well, you know, it's not the worst. It's however you want to interpret it. But overall, you had a lot of good people around you, despite some of the issues that you faced. You faced them head on really well. You know, you were still kind. You were still motherly. You were still nurturing. You were still somewhat in touch with your emotions. You just might not have had great self-esteem due to abandonment issues. But you transformed as a person. This gave you a lot of learning. This gave you a lot of lessons. So, you know, this was a valuable past life to have, because ultimately it made your soul more prosperous. It made your knowledge and your inner wisdom more prosperous. It made you more abundant by not having money. With that Ace of Pentacles in reversed. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed this reading, Pile 4. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I'll put out readings as often as I can, so let me know what you want to see in the comments. You know, let me know what you'd like to see. I know a lot of my love readings go down extremely well, and people love those sorts of readings. So if you want more love readings rather than past life or career, then let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.